Half a day. This presentation introduces you to the University of Guam's plan to incorporate island wisdom into our academic programs and campus life. Our concept of island wisdom recognizes that the elders within our community hold great knowledge in the traditional skills they practice, and that the wisdom they have will deepen our understanding of how our world sustains us. Island wisdom is built on the idea that interacting with our Pacific elders will help us better prepare to address problems that our communities may face in the future. By listening, observing, and working with our elders, as well as with other traditional scholars who have learned from the land, the sea, and the air, we will not only know more about where we are living, but we will understand what our community needs from us as faculty members at the University of Guam. Island wisdom has its roots in our charter, where the Guam legislature tasked our institution to serve as a place of higher learning, to support island priorities, and to design and provide programs and projects consistent with the basic socioeconomic, political, and cultural development goals sought by the people and governments in the region. For close to 70 years, this mandate focused on providing excellent academic programs that used Western modes of teaching. Today, the University of Guam recognizes that meaningful impact in our region will require leaders and innovators who are well-versed in both traditional ways of knowing and Western philosophies of thought. So, we, as an institution, must ensure that our students are able to explore both modes in the learning environment. Our charter requires the university community to positively contribute to the region through our programs and activities, whether it be teaching, research, service, or outreach. As faculty, we are called upon to prepare our students to become responsible agents of change within their community. We are also called upon to engage in research and community outreach that supports, strengthens, and promotes our unique way of life. This call to service is also reflected in our vision and mission statements. In fact, our mission statement has a clarifying sentence that explicitly states that the most relevant enlightenment, discovery, and service requires combining traditional ways of knowing with universal philosophical thought. Our Parahulu strategic plan was launched with an initiative to become recognized as a research university that is centered in island wisdom. Dr. Kreis explained that UOG is publicly created, publicly supported, and governed by public bodies for public purposes. Our mission is a mindset as much as it is a program, and that the irreducible idea is that we exist to advance the common good and provide an education that is both liberal and practical, with benefits apparent to both students and the larger society. Within this perspective of island wisdom, public purposes includes preservation and advancement of indigenous cultures and languages. And liberal and practical education includes knowing those indigenous life skills that have been passed down from generation to generation in this region, and that being able to apply the knowledge inherent in these practices appropriately. A committee led by Senior Vice President and Provost Enriquez, began setting out goals and activities that would establish island wisdom as part of the new learning environment. As we worked, we realized we needed to clearly define this idea in order to be able to effectively deliver relevant educational programs and make meaningful community impacts. And then, the nation was rocked by the death of George Floyd. To process what happened, UOG participated in a series of critical conversations where we talked and thought about what we, as a Pacific community, should learn from his death. Over the course of 6 weeks, we listened to our students and other community members talk about the ways in which they had felt discriminated or belittled on our island or on our campus. These were people who had felt that they had not been heard or seen before. These sessions transformed the way we understood island wisdom. Our biggest takeaways from these conversations were how people outside our campus saw UOG. They said we were intimidating, foreign, not approachable, and not a member of the community. We heard how people would prepare their children for UOG by telling them to hide their culture or not draw attention to themselves so that they could fit in on Guam. One of our speakers said that UOG needed to embrace its specific values more firmly and practice inagofli'i. While this word is defined as friendship, the value means to be watching out for each other or having each other's back. Our speaker described that this value had an even deeper significance because inagofli'i means that we see all of the other person, and it means honoring and respecting the whole person. Our understanding of island wisdom was no longer a plan to familiarize students with island traditions, knowledge, or sustainable practices, but rather it became the need to change the campus culture and operations to be more reflective of our shared Pacific values. This transformation led to the drafting of a situational statement that reflected where we were and where we needed to go. Our statement recognizes that the strict adherence to Western educational models has led to an undervaluing of skills and knowledge that protected and sustained the communities of this region for millennia, caused disruptions in participation and perpetuation of cultural practices, leading to confusion over sense of identity, and narrowed the possibilities and opportunities for innovation by our students. We are now able to articulate what island wisdom means. Island wisdom is the ability to move fluidly and deftly through the confluence of local and modern visions of the world, between Micronesian island cultural and Western frameworks, in a relationship based on mutual benefit in order to strengthen our communities and island lifeways. In other words, island wisdom is the ability of an individual to draw from traditional knowledge and skills and from Western philosophies of thoughts to address problems or to create new ideas that contribute to the betterment of society. Now, this definition lays the foundation for how the Parahulu Strategic Initiative, sometimes referred to as S1, can be carried out. The guiding principles you see here demonstrate that UOG recognizes the immediate need to integrate Chamorro, Micronesian, or oceanic knowledge into every aspect of our campus culture. A research institution centered in island wisdom means that we are not just researching, analyzing, or teaching about Micronesian ways of life. It means we are living it. We're integrating traditional knowledge into the college curricula and into our research and outreach programs. Our intent is to create a richer educational experience, to deepen our students' understandings of Micronesian knowledge, and to rebalance the role of traditional indigenous skills and practices in academia and in our island communities by reinforcing its place in our everyday lives. S1 currently has 3 goals. Goal 1 lays out how UOG becomes a model for island wisdom and island sustainability. Goal 2 establishes UOG as an essential resource for the region. Now, this goal lays out how we should build and maintain a network of scholars comprised of faculty and traditional culture bearers who can be called upon to provide guidance and expert opinions on community concerns or issues. And the third goal sets our path into the future by expanding UOG's academic portfolio to include professional doctoral degrees that are directly relevant to our region's needs. The activities associated with these goals are influencing and changing the way we think about instruction, service, and research on campus now. We are designing a certificate program in island sustainability. We are piloting courses in Micronesian seafaring, and are looking at how we can offer similar courses in the areas of zo'amti, weaving, carving, and other traditional skills. We're developing databases to broaden access to studies and research that are about the Micronesian islands and their people. We are documenting the intellectual genealogies of traditional masters and culture bearers throughout Micronesia. And we're seeking out partnerships with traditional cultural experts so we can engage in collaborative research. And we're collaborating with culture practitioners in demonstrating best practices to our island populations. We're also investigating ways in which island wisdom and island sustainability frameworks can be integrated into our general education curriculum. And last but not least, we're looking at ways in which we change our institutional mindset to be more mindful of our natural resources and consumption practices. Our intent is to create meaningful change. Our plan has already begun to have an immediate impact on the learning environment, where the introduction of Native knowledge into the academic experience is diversifying and broadening the scope of how knowledge is gained and how it is shared. It is encouraging our faculty to think about where they are in this process and how they can embrace the Pacific values present in the Parahulu Plan. We expect that these impacts will begin to have a ripple effect that results in the blending of the Western and the traditional into a truly unique but highly relevant educational experience for the region. And from there, we will begin to see more long-term impacts on both our institution and in our community. We look forward to when our graduates begin to apply island wisdom in their professional and personal lives, and when our leaders and policymakers consider both the traditional and Western ways of thinking in their decision-making. In order to place island wisdom at the center of the UOG experience, we must have an integrated approach moving forward, one in which the multiple committees associated with this effort are cognizant of the work, aspirations, and needs of the other groups. Starting today, some of your colleagues are beginning to engage in what we are calling a co-weaving experience. They are thinking through the connections that exist between the various ideas, expectations, and plans associated with the Island Wisdom Initiative. With this experience, we are articulating how Pacific knowledge and Indigenous ways of knowing should be incorporated into the 4 domains essential to the initiative's success. We are also hoping to find those moments in which we can collaborate or support each other's efforts. We hope this work serves as the catalyst to set the next ripple of impact into motion. As a new faculty member, you might be wondering where to start. So here's some suggestions. You can start with a small step, such as getting familiar with different sources of traditional knowledge, or by exploring research protocols that are responsive to Pacific and Native communities. Or you could wade in a little further by engaging in reflective practices. This is where you invite students to consider how a concept studied in class can be adapted to another island community. You could jump in and join one of the committees focused on island wisdom or island sustainability, or you can propose an idea that we just haven't thought of yet. There's so much to do, and we're excited for you to join us. From the Island Wisdom team, Sitsu Usmaasi, and welcome to UOG.